Welcome. Good morning. My name is Cindy Loudon, and I use she, her pronouns. I serve this congregation on the Religious Education, Social Justice, and Fundraising Committees. I'm co-leading our service this morning as worship associate. Our reflection speaker today is our pastor, Michele Townsend Grove. Okay. It's gonna. Okay. Oh. Excuse me. Welcome to our special place. At the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Quad Cities, we welcome all people into our beloved community of whatever age, race, class, ethnicity, physical ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or religious background. We welcome especially those joining us for the first time. We live stream our services, and those recordings are then saved in our UUQC YouTube channel. If you do not wish to appear in these recordings, you may sit under the owl's nest by the bookshelves right back there. We invite everyone to join us downstairs after the service for coffee, snacks, and conversations. Thank you for joining us this morning. Okay.
So what's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? In these days, we find ourselves too often stuck with these questions on repeat. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? We grasp at signs and markers. We grasp at articles of news and analysis, Facebook memes, and forward emails, as if it was the new zodiac, capable of forecasting all that life may yet bring our way, as if we could prepare, as if life had ever made any promises of making sense or turning out the way we thought, as if we are not also actors in this still unfolding story. But for this hour, we gather. We surrender to the mystery. We release ourselves from needing to know, the yearning to have it all figured out, and also the burden of believing that we either have all the control or none. Here is our song and our silence, our stories and our sharing. We make space for a new breath, a new healing, and a new possibility to take root. That is courage forged in the fire of our coming together, and it is felt in the spirit that comes alive in this act of faith. We believe still that a new world is possible, that we are creating it, that it is already here and now. Good morning, my friends. Good morning. First of all, before we go any further, did anybody here really just want to clap for the prelude? Yes. If so, please do it now. Okay. I saw some people wanting and not sure, and I thought, you know what? We need to celebrate anytime, anywhere, anybody. So we're just going to do that. Okay. So thank you. It was lovely. So my name is Michele Townsend Grove, and I use she, her pronouns. And the reading that you just heard is by Reverend Gretchen Haley. My friends, we gather here with different stories and different experiences and different points of view. Part of the mystery of this gathering is our diversity of thought and feeling. Know this, my friends, and know this well. You are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. As Cindy lights our chalice, let us recite the unison reading by Deborah Falk. These words will appear in your order of service, but they also appear on the screen if you would like to say them with me. The chalice lit among us is a beacon of hope in a world of crisis, a beacon of possibility made manifest in community. So you are now invited to rise in body or spirit as we sing together hymn number 246 in the gray hymnal, O Little Town of Bethlehem. We will be singing verses 1 and 3. 1 and 3. There we go.
Silent
No, don't worry about it. All right, you got it? We're greeting. Good, yeah. So it goes back and forth. And maybe one of the things we need to do is to number people. So that is what I did. There it is. No, totally all right. So I'm going to, so let's put that one into that. And go from this there. So I'll pull them back together. Okay. And then after the singing at the church, that's what it is. Okay. And then Susie. Do you want to take a moment and number the pages?
Yeah, I think
this is a good lesson for us. Good morning. Are the kids coming up? Children and youth of all ages are welcome. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you all. Yes. I hope you all are having a lovely holiday. And I'm going to suspect that you all have been very sad because you haven't had school. Is that true? Yeah. See, for some people it's true. Not for others, yeah. Well, see, you missed recess. There you go.
I'm sad because my third grade teacher, Miss Townsend, is retiring.
Oh, your teacher's retiring. That is okay. Well, listen, I've got a story for you all. You ready? There was an amazing man who was born in the early 1800s. Well, 1848-ish, maybe not the mid-1800s. His name was Lewis Latimer. Has anybody ever heard of him? Well, about a month ago, I told stories here about people who did amazing things who never got attention for it. Other people sometimes get the credit for the work that they do, and Lewis Latimer is one of those people. He was an inventor, and do you know what he did? He helped two inventors make their inventions work. If it weren't for Lewis Latimer, they never would have happened. The first one, tell me if you know who it is. Who invented the telephone? Do you know? Do you think? And if you don't, it's okay. If you're not sure, just yell it out if you think you know.
George Washington.
George Washington is a good guess. That it's not who invented it. He did invent some things, though. He was. But no, it was Alexander Graham Bell. Yeah.
One thing that was crazy about it that I know is while he was fixing up the telephone, he accidentally spilled acid on his pants.
That's right.
And then he yelled and
yes.
Someone actually heard him through the telephone.
It was the first words. It was Watson, come quick. Yes, he was telling the story about how he poured acid on his pants and he panicked and he said, Watson, come quick. And that was the first words to go through the telephone. That's a good thing to know. Yeah, but Lewis Latimer actually helped Alexander Graham Bell and did some very important parts of that. Guess what? He also made the light bulb work. Who invented the light bulb? Do you know? Go. Thomas Edison,
Yes.
that's right. And so Thomas Edison had invented the light bulb, but it wouldn't stay on. It'd go out in 2 days. Can you imagine having to change light bulbs every 2 days? Right? That would be horrible. All the waste. Yeah, and so, but it was Lewis Latimer that figured out how to make the filaments. But you know what? Because Lewis Latimer was a black man, he did not get the credit in the late 1800s and early 1900s like we should. So one of the things that's really important for me in 2026 is when I learn about a new inventor, I want to learn about all the people who helped that person, because I think there's a lot of people who don't always get credit for what they deserve. And I'm going to encourage you all to look around and say, who's not getting credit for the good work they're doing? And give them a thank you, okay? Sound good? All right, my friends. Happy New Year, happy holidays. It's good to see you, and I'm glad you're here. It is now time to sing for our children and our community.
Good morning. I am Susan Perry, a member of the Pastoral Care Team. As we gather today, we pause to reflect what lies within our hearts. In this time of sharing, we take a moment to recognize our personal joys and sorrows and to read from the book of Joys and Sorrows those personal life events that you have chosen to share with us. There's one joy. Pastoral Care mentions that Tom LeJudas is home now. There is a card on the table downstairs if you want to send him a greeting. Are there any joys and sorrows online?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
From Gail Springer. She says, I would like to send a thank you to everyone who came to the Yule service last Sunday. A special thank you to the UU Chimes for providing music and to Earl for AV. Also, the assistants, and thank you to Gates for the beautiful music that day. It did set the mood. I also have one here from Ashley Price. Please pray for my cousin Justice mom. It's who's in the hospital. She has a blood clot in her lungs. And also pray for cousin Connie that is in hospice care, what she found out yesterday. And that's all.
Thank you. I'm not sure I can repeat all that. I couldn't even hear part of it. I hope that you were able to. There are two sorrows in the book. Leighton Arsenis says, my nephew's 3-year-old daughter, Valentina, suffered a drowning accident on Christmas Day. She is on a ventilator awaiting brain activity testing. Please remind all parents that non-swimming children should wear a size-appropriate life jacket in the pool, not just water wings. The second sorrow is from Ken Crokin. Today is the 4th anniversary of the death of my best friend, Catherine McKnight, of breast cancer. For what has been shared and for what remains in the quiet sanctuary of our hearts, we are grateful. Let us become aware of the energy that brings us together in beloved community as we share a time of silent meditation. May we open our minds and hearts to a place of quiet, to a silent prayer for the healing of pain and the comfort of love. Following our silent meditation, we will enter into a time of musical meditation when you are invited to come forward and light a candle. May we discover a sense of peace and fulfillment in the quiet and in the music and in the light.
Please join in a responsive reading by Paul R. Beadle titled Add the Alleluias. The text appears in an insert in your order of service and on the display. Please read the portions printed in bold type. Where we know desolation, how do we call forth hope? When our hearts buried, sunken down,
How do we dig up? Rise up.
what healing touch do we long for?
What balm might we take and share?
Come what may, O Spirit of life.
May we keep a ray of light for our inward path,
A living water in the depths of us.
a cleansing breath at our core.
May we keep them for ourselves and to share.
May we call forth from each other vitality and tenacity.
May love rest in us. May justice live through us.
May we have the touch to call others back.
This congregation is a theologically diverse religious community with membership open to all who are in accord with our values, mission, and vision. Our congregation is entirely self-governed through the democratic process. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. This month's undesignated plate offering will go toward end-of-year bonuses for our staff. This congregation is blessed to have people who keep us moving forward. They are the glue that holds this community together. We invite you now to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of the congregations. Please be as generous as you are able. For all the gifts of time and treasure that you give to this congregation, with sincere gratitude, we thank you. Our reading today comes from Reverend Victoria Safford and is titled The Gates of Hope. Our mission is to plant ourselves at the gates of hope, not the prudent gates of optimism, which are somewhat narrower, nor the stalwart, boring gates of common sense, nor the strident gates of self-righteousness, which creak on shrill and angry hinges. People cannot hear us there. They cannot pass through, nor the cheerful, flimsy garden gate of everything is going to be all right, but a different, sometimes lonely place, the place of truth-telling about our own soul, first of all, and its condition, the place of resistance and defiance, the piece of ground from which you see the world, both as it is and as it could be, as it will be, the place from which you glimpse not only struggle, but the joy of the struggle. And we stand there beckoning and calling, telling people what we are seeing, asking people what we see. Okay.
So once upon a time, there was a wise abbot of a monastery, and he had a friend who was an equally wise rabbi. Now, this was in the old country long ago when times were hard. In fact, harder than we might even imagine. The abbot's community was dwindling, and the faith life of his monks was fearful, it was weak, and it was anxious. He went to his friend and he wept. He said to the rabbi, "Help me, for I do not know what to do." And the rabbi comforted him and said, "There is something you need to know, my brother. We have long known this in the Jewish community. The Messiah is one of you." "What?" said the abbot. "The Messiah is one of us? How can that be?" But the rabbi insisted that it was so, and the abbot went back to the monastery, wondering and praying and comforted and excited. Once back in the monastery, he would pass by another monk and wonder if that was the one. Sitting in the chapel praying, he would hear a voice and look intently at a face, and he would wonder, is that the one? The abbot had always been kind, but now the abbot actually began to treat everybody even with more kindness and awe and deep reverence. Soon, everybody noticed. And someone in the abbot actually came to him and said, "I see that you are treating everybody with such dignity and respect." And so after a little bit of coaxing, the abbot finally shared his secret. And that other monk was excited. Soon the other monk was looking at each other differently, and they were also looking at each other with deep respect and wonder. And the word spread, the Messiah is one of us. Now the monastery was suddenly full of life, worship, love, and grace. The prayer life enriched, it was passionate and devoted. Soon the surrounding villagers came to services, and they were listening and watching intently, and many of them wanted to join the monastery. And once they went through the initiation and they came to take their vows, they too learned the secret. The Messiah is one of us. Now, the monastery grew and expanded into this house and then another house, into another house, and it just grew and grew and grew. And they say still that if you stumble across this place where there is life and there is hope and kindness and graciousness, the secret is the same. The Messiah is one of us. So, my friends, about 10 years ago, I read for the first time a book by a journalist by the name of Phyllis Tickle. Phyllis Tickle wrote the book, The Great Emergence, in 2008. And even though if I read it today, there's some things that I don't quite agree with, there is a premise within her book that has helped to shape the way I look at the future of Unitarian Universalism and many faith communities. You see, back in the early 2000s, Phyllis Tickle did a great deal of research into Christianity and looked at it from a broad view to say, what are the patterns within Christianity that we can identify that can help us to understand who we are? And what she discovered is that every 500 years, a massive shift within the Christian faith occurred to the point that people actually approached that faith differently. She even says in the book, she says, I don't think that this is only true with Christianity. However, she did not research Judaism or other faiths to be able to prove it, but she had an inkling that there was something that happened every 500 years that shifted how we gather as a religious people. So, for example, around the time we mark as the beginning of the Common Era, that's when Christianity was born. And it was definitely a shift for that culture within that Near East area and the areas around Europe as it started to spread. 500 years later, the monastic movement in the Middle Ages shifted Christianity once again. Great leaders like the Pope Gregory the Great, who is credited with giving us Gregorian chant, helped to shift Christianity at that point. 500 years later with the Great Schism, when the Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox separated out, and those two faiths went their own ways and grew. And then 500 years later, the Great Reformation. Martin Luther in 1517, and thanks to the printing press, Protestantism was born. So I always love these kinds of historic things. Even though I do not consider myself Christian, I find them fascinating to study because our nation is rooted in Christianity. And so those kinds of patterns help me to understand other patterns that are embedded. And if I take a look at congregations, not just this one, but all Unitarian Universalism and faith traditions from a balcony view, where I'm kind of looking at broad patterns, I see that there is a great deal of anxiety and decline within faith communities. It's all over. It's not just felt in one single community. It's felt across the nation and the globe. So there is something shifting, and I've been pondering this for over a decade. You see, sometimes we think that COVID is what brought a massive decline, and yet I wonder if that decline actually began long ago, because we are at a place where what it means to be spiritual, religious, faithful people, and however we define that, is shifting, and we haven't figured out how to grab onto that yet. This congregation may feel the anxiety of decline. You may wonder, what is wrong with us? You may be grasping for quick fixes, or you may simply be worried or sad. Why is the congregation that fed me and sustained me and my family for so many years be shrinking? Why don't people come and join us so that we can be strong and vital like we were in years before? And yet, if you look at it from the balcony, you can see that it's not just happening here, it's happening everywhere. You are not alone. The way that we enter the sacred and the way we celebrate sacred in community is shifting. We know it's shifting, we just don't know what the future looks like yet. Much of this is being experienced by many Unitarian Universalist congregations. It's also being experienced by Christian denominations, Roman Catholicism, and other faith communities outside of Christianity. It's all over. And yet, there is hope. Are we ready for that next 500-year transformation? Are we ready to shift how we gather and how we define our core values in order to be more relevant to a world that desperately needs us? Are we ready to make the necessary shifts so that you can feed and sustain the people of the Quad Cities? How will this congregation be more authentic? As we enter 2026, holding on to hope may not be enough. We might not just need to be hopeful. I believe we also need to do hope. But what does doing hope look like? What does hope look like as an action. Jürgen Moltmann, who is a German theologian, one I studied years ago, says this in his 1967 book, The Theology of Hope. Faith, whatever it develops into hope, it causes not rest, but unrest. Not patience, but impatience. It does not calm the unquiet heart, but it is itself the unquiet heart in all of us. Those who hope can no longer put up with reality as it is, but they begin to suffer under it, to contradict it. True hope means conflict with the world for the goal of the promised future. It stabs us in the flesh of our unfulfilled presence. So what does hope look like? If we have hope, maybe we're not restful, maybe we're called to unrest. And in that, that's where we actually stay with the unrest and reflect. What does that unsettledness within me or within us call us to do and to be? I also believe that it is important for us to understand that we need to live hope actively. We need to assess and reassess our energies and our passions. Let's take a look, for example, at this congregation. This congregation is currently exhausting itself to maintain a structure that used to have 250 members and now has 150. Often we say, if only new members will join us and maintain what we have, we'll be back to where we were. And yet, my friends, this model only looks at new people as worker bees. How do we make room for new people and their hopes and their dreams and their passions and their ideas? Living into hope may not be an act of building and construction. Maybe it's an act of some deconstruction. What do we need to tear down to meet the needs and the passions of those who have yet to find us? It's something to reflect on. And when I say tear down, I don't mean physically. I mean just as we are as a community. What needs to shift? And third, my friends, this is probably the most important. Hope is about actively building relationships. Instead of asking, what do we want to do or who do we want to come to be a part of our community, maybe it's time for us to start asking, where do we need to go to be in relationship with others? Where do we need to be? Maybe it's time to go out and make new friends. Putting ourselves in places where we listen deeply, where we listen without agenda or anxiety, where we are open, truly open to learning, open to serving, and ready to build relationships, not just on our terms, but on all of our terms. There are places of connection that will bring us new visions for the future. The Messiah is one of us. Now, this phrase, the Messiah is one of us, this language may not meet your theology, and that's okay, because there's a larger theme here at play. However, the sentiment of this line is easily adapted. The key is to live and be in relationship with others where you see their full beauty. How can we be with each other and see that full beauty, their inner divine. This is how one deeply lives the Unitarian Universalist belief that each and every human is full of dignity and worth. How easy to practice with the people we get along with. But this is not easy when we disagree. And it's even more difficult to live with those in which we have experienced harm. And I do say this also encouraging you to take care of yourself. Seeing the divine in each is a journey of courage and care. I'm encouraging you, my friends, to put yourself out there and practice this while also taking care of your tender heart and your tender soul. I wonder if this communal practice of seeing the divine, the Messiah, the good in everybody no matter, could shift us as a community into new ways of being a community. How would this act shift who we are? How would this act shift who we are beyond these walls? How would this act shift our relationships with those in which we disagree with and in which we live in tension? My friends, I see the beauty in you. I recognize the good and the hope and the most amazing things that you bring, not just this community within the walls, but the community without and outside. So I think that this practice of seeing the divine and the beauty in each person is one I can adapt in 2026. And I encourage you to do the same. Now, early in 2026, you all, both those gathered here today and beyond, will have the opportunity to continue this conversation of hope and a future for the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Quad Cities. Currently, there is a vibrant and creative strategic plan task force that is meeting to design this process. And in February, watch for opportunities. You all will be invited to be a part of small groups for dreaming and conversations. This continues the good work of dreaming and conversations that you all have been having for a couple of years. We're continually moving forward. And here's some of the things to think about. What does the future for this congregation look like? What are your hopes? What does this community look like now? What do you want it to look like in a year? What would you like it to look like in 10 years? If you were to imagine it, what would this community look like in the year 2050? I wonder what our core values will be in 10 years and in 2050. And I wonder how we will live into them. My friends, when I can start to dream like this, my hope is revitalized. Trust me, you do not want to miss this. My friends, our time is now. Blessed be. And now, I encourage you to rise in body and spirit for our closing song, which is number 226 in the gray hymnal. It is People Look East. Let us sing together. The lyrics are either in the gray book or on our screen.
I'll play this once.
Gates is going to play it through once. Thank you.
You may be seated for a few announcements. I just have one announcement. Today's UUUX rehearsal is canceled. Are there any other announcements? Finally, let me draw your attention to the additional announcements printed on the back of your order of service. As Michele extinguishes our chalice, let us join together in the unison reading which appears in our order of service and on the display. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
So we close with these words of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Quad Cities Covenant Pledge. We are in a place and a time now where we are reflecting on what it means to leave 2025 and go into 2026. I encourage you to do this with this covenant of right relations and this covenant pledge on your heart and mind. So hear these words first, and then I'm going to ask you to say it with me. Loving kindness guides us as we come together in a spirit of generosity, respect, and empathy, mindfully aware of each other's inherent dignity and worth. Ready? I'm going to say a line, you say it back. Loving kindness. Loving kindness guides us as we come together. In a spirit of generosity. Respect and empathy. Mindfully aware of each other's inherent dignity and worth. Blessed be, my friends, and Happy New Year. Please stay and enjoy the postlude.